Hey there students, Olivia Kuhn here sitting in today for Tom Richey. In this lecture, I'm going to be talking to you about the Sears Mail Order Catalogue. But before I begin, a quick shout to my main man, Mr. Peter Piccone, an APUSH history teacher at a place called Marino High School. Thinking about Sears in the 21st century, we typically think of like an outdated department store that like not that many people shop at anymore. When I think of Sears, I typically associate it with either appliances or a really great quote from Mean Girls.
Ma'am, do you have this in the next size up?
Sorry, we only carry sizes 1, 3, and 5. You could try Sears.
But regardless of where it stands in modern society today, Sears actually has a very impressive and very important history behind it. I'm gonna put my mug down because this is kind of hard to hold. So, the company Sears was founded by Minnesota native Richard Warren Sears. He was a telegrapher who was employed by the Minneapolis and St. Louis Railroad companies. One day he acquired a box of unwanted watches from a local jeweler and he decided to sell them to railroad station agents. So he sold them for around $14 a piece, and converting that to today's dollars, that's around $336. And at the time that was a lot cheaper than the typical price of watches. In 1886 he moved to Minneapolis to start a mail order business as a part-time job. However, the following year he did make mail order his full-time job and he moved to Chicago, and guess what is in Chicago? You guessed it, the Sears Tower. So you see how history connects? You know. Okay, wait, let's move on. In 1888, Sears started the R.W. Sears Watch Company. No, he did not sell appliances at first, but he did sell watches and jewelry. So the businessman was in need of a watchmaker, so he posted an ad in the Chicago Daily News. Through that, he found Alva C. Roebuck. I really hope I said that right. That is a complicated name. They then became business partners and they founded Sears, Roebuck and Company, which is now today known as Sears. In 1894, Sears published his first mail order catalog at around 322 pages long. In that catalog, it was packed with a variety of goods available for purchase. This included musical instruments, sporting goods, firearms, bicycles, clothing, and even more. As the catalog expanded over time, Sears began charging 25 cents for it, and that just indicates how many products he was selling in this catalog because there were so many pages. Eventually they sold practically anything that a customer could ever think of needing. Basically it was like the Amazon of the 1800s. In 1897 they introduced the concept of the club order program. This meant that customers could combine their orders with neighbors and friends to get a discount. So Sears' demographic was aimed towards farmers and people living in rural areas. Before Sears became a thing, the only businesses in these rural areas were general stores and traveling salesmen, their prices typically being more expensive. So these cheaper goods that Sears was offering for sale appealed tremendously, and that's why it was so successful among these customers. Sears was also very focused on their advertising and customer service. They were actually known for being a master at slogans. For example, they were named the quote cheapest supply house on earth, and their catalog was titled Book of Bargains, a money saver for everyone. They also made sure that every single customer was satisfied with their products, declaring, quote, we can't afford to lose a customer. So what made Sears so different was that they told their customers to, quote, send no money, and this meant that customers did not have to pay until they received their order. So as popular as Sears became, it also received a lot of backlash from small businesses who were driven out of business due to Sears' popularity. Public catalog burnings were held, and some children were even bribed by angered shop owners to turn in their catalogs in exchange for money. But, despite the negativity towards the company during its rise, the Sears catalog was a revolutionary advance in marketing during the Gilded Age. Even though the catalog stopped printing in 1993, its legacy does live on in today's consumer culture as it has laid the foundation for it. Alright, we're bringing the mug back. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the end of my lecture on the Sears Mail Order Catalog. Feel free to look me up on my social media, and I would love to interact with you guys. It's always a pleasure. And that's the tea.